Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about some more micro EDC tools that I use and some combinations that I combine them with for my everyday carry, and just going over some unique models that we have here today. Here on the table we can see a variety of different tools. Starting from this side, we have the Leatherman Micra. We have the Leatherman Squirt P4 discontinued model. We have the Leatherman Squirt Es4 also discontinued. We have the Gerber Dime. We have a AAA battery for size comparison. We have a Gerber Mini. This is the Bear Grylls model. We have a Victorinox signature light with the red LED and pen inside the scales. We have the Victorinox Midnite Manager with also a red LED and a pen in the scales. And finally on the side here we have the Victorinox Midnite Mini Champ with the white LED and pen in the scales. Down below for size reference only, we have a Noctagon KR4 18650 Lite. We have the Huntsman Lite, the Swiss Army tool here. This is a 91mm platform. And we have the Leatherman Sidekick, which is a nice little EDC knife that I generally carry on me for light duty tasks. And so you can kind of get an idea for the sizing and how these smaller multi-tools compare. So let's get these off the table and go over these tools here. First up is the Leatherman Micra. I've been using this tool the most out of all these for a number of years, probably about a good 15 years or so, maybe a little bit less than that. These are a scissor-based multi-tool, and they come with a variety of different tools. We have tweezers here, and we have a Phillips head type of screwdriver, although you probably could use that for a small slotted screwdriver as well. And then we have the bottle opener and a very, very small slotted screwdriver. On this side we have the main blade. And we have a bigger slotted screwdriver here. And then we have the file here with a hook, a little pointer hook here. And then we also have the measuring options on the scales here. We have it in inches and in centimeters. Very useful tool, very small, very lightweight, and very affordable tool for an EDC kit. I like these tools because they have a scissor, and I do use a scissor daily. They're not precision cut scissors. However, they do get the job done for most items that I use them for and for opening boxes. Next up is the Leatherman Squirt P4. This is a plier-based multi-tool. So it opens in this fashion. We have a small needle nose-like type plier head, and then we have a regular gripping part here in the center. And then also we have a small wire cutter in the center there as well. This is spring-based as well too. On the outside we have a variety of tools. We'll start with the bigger slotted screwdriver and bottle opener combo here. And on this side we have a small Phillips head screwdriver. You can also use this as a very, very tiny slotted screwdriver as well. And then on this side we have an awl type of tool here for poking. And on this side we have a very precise slotted screwdriver. Moving along, we have the Leatherman Squirt Es4. This was a newly acquired piece. I do electronic work, and I was looking for a small type of wire cutting multi-tool, and this is the only one I could find that was the right size for my upgraded electronics kit. Here on the outside we have a blade, the main blade here. I almost forgot on the P4 we didn't go over the blade here, so we'll do that real quick. We have the main blade, very much similar to the Squirt Es4. And we also have the file here, a crosshatch section and a single crosshatch. And on the side here, we also have some edging too, so you can use it in a vertical fashion. Going back to the Squirt Es4, we have a side here that has something that's pretty useful, and this is a pair of scissors, spring-loaded. On this side, we have the file, which is similar to the P4 as well. We have a cross-hatch section here and a single hatch section here. And on the bottom, we also have some texturing, so we can also file down vertically if we need to. On this side here, we have our flat, or rather slotted screwdriver with a bottle opener. And we also have our Phillips head type of screwdriver, which is also a small fine point for slotted screws as well. We have a keychain lanyard here, or rather a little mounting point. And we open it up to reveal a set of wire cutters and wire strippers for various sizes: 20, 18, 16, 14, and 12 gauge. And we have a small gripping tip here for getting into the harder to reach points. So this is a thinner type of head than, say, the Squirt P4, for example. It's a little bit thicker on this model. I don't know if you guys can see that in the video, but it comes to a more finer point here, so you can get into the electronics case of something, pull something out, or hold something, which is quite useful. And this is also spring assisted as well. And in the center we do have wire cutters there. A very nice tool if you can find it. It's very rare, but it does fulfill my needs in my electronics kit. Moving over to the Gerber side of things, we have the Gerber Dime. Now this is a newly acquired piece. I've been using this for a few weeks now. We have a slotted screwdriver here, a nice broad tip one. And on this side we have a small Phillips head screwdriver, along with single hatching on this side and cross hatching on this side. So it's a file Phillips head and a very tiny slotted screwdriver combo tool. Then finally we have the main blade on the Gerber Dime. On this side we have a box opener type of tool, which is very handy. I use this a lot for opening boxes, and it's very convenient to use as opposed to using your blade or perhaps the plier head of a tool, which I tend to do. And we also have a pair of scissors here on this side. So not as nice as, say, a Victorinox pair of scissors, but on par with the Leatherman scissors, with some exceptions. And we have the spring here. And then on the back here, we do have the bottle opener device here, or a mounting point, if you will. And we also have the dedicated mounting point for a keychain. And in the scale here, we have a pair of tweezers, which are coming to an angle point, which is pretty good for grabbing things like splinters and whatnot. Opening up the tool, it is a plier-based tool, much like the Leatherman Squirt P4. We have some type of needle nose type of head here, although it's not a true needle nose. And then we have regular pliers here in the center. And then we have some wire cutters in the center here. And this is spring loaded here. So if we try to compare, for example, the Leatherman Squirt P4 head with the Gerber, they're about the same thickness and similar grip patterns as well. But I think I like the spring system in the Squirt P4 more than the Gerber Dime, where it's just a smaller piece of metal that's giving the spring tension. And whereas this is an actual, looks like a solid piece of metal here. I'm not a architect or a mechanical engineer, so I can't explain the exact type of metal that's being used in these knives for the springs, but this appears to be a higher quality, anecdotally speaking, on the Squirt P4. And if we compare that further to the plier head of the Es4, this also has a similar mechanism as the Squirt P4 and different from the Gerber Dime. So something to consider when you're looking to buy a plier head based type of multi-tool. This one happens to have wire cutters and strippers for electronic work, which is very useful for my needs. The Gerber Dime does fulfill a good role for a budget type of pliers, as the Leathermans tend to be a little bit more expensive than the Gerber Dime. If you can find it on eBay, you might be able to get it for a good price. But that is the Gerber Dime here, comparison to, say, the Leatherman Squirt Es4 and the P4. Moving along is another kind of semi-smaller micro type of tool, although I would say it's kind of like in between a full-sized, or rather medium-duty Leatherman and a smaller Squirt P4 size. It's a little bit bigger, as you can tell, comparatively. But this is the Bear Grylls Gerber Mini. And again, we have a little bit of a thicker plier head here, and we'll compare this to the P4 for now. P4 is a little bit smaller on this one, and a smaller pivot point, it looks like. So we got a little bit more metal in this one, and I think this uses a different kind of spring in it, if I'm not mistaken. We have the needle nose type head here. We have the regular gripping pliers section here, and we also have a small wire cutter section here. And that is it for the center part of the tool. On the outside, we have our slotted screwdriver here with a bottle opener. And this one's kind of hard to get out, but it is geared towards a Phillips head type of screwdriver with these indentations in it. And on this side, we have a awl type of slotted screwdriver, multi-tool, I think. It looks like more like a slotted screwdriver to me, but you can use that for poking. And on this side, we have a unique pair of tweezers that are attached to the actual unit, so you don't lose it. So, quite interesting, different take on the tweezer part of a multi-tool. Flipping over the other side, we have a main blade, which is pretty chunky, pretty thick, and very sharp. And on this side, we have a serrated blade, which we haven't found on any of the tools thus far. So this is the only tool in the lineup that has a serrated blade, which is decent for some tasks. If you're looking for a serrated blade, this might be the kind of tool for you. Moving over next to the Gerber Mini Bear Grylls model, we have the Victorinox Signature Lite. Now this is similar to their SD Classic, which just has a pair of tweezers and toothpick in the scale. However, this model includes a pen here, ballpoint pen, so not the best kind of writing utensil, but it comes in handy as a backup utility tool in case you don't have your pen. And on this side, we have a red LED. I like the red ones for light discipline at night sometimes, and the white ones are just as good, but for a different kind of need. On the back here, we have a little keychain holder port, and this has several different tools. Now, the Victorinox scissors are some of the best scissors I've ever had on a multi-tool. They're very fine, high-quality steel. They're very precise, and they're very sharp, and they do cut very well, especially when it comes to cloth material, threads, if I'm sewing. This does come in handy. It has a replaceable small spring here, which does tend to break every so often. And on this side, we have a slotted screwdriver here and a combo file here. Although I wonder if you could also use this as a Phillips head too as well, since it's kind of contoured here at the end into a smaller tip. And then we have the main pen blade here. Very sharp, thin blade. Works very well for what you can do for small tasks. You can replace the batteries in these and get newer batteries. You can even, in some cases, buy aftermarket types of LEDs. I've got mine from the $1.25 store in a little magnifying glass package that had a light up LED in it. I switched it out with this in one of my models, and I had a white LED for the scale if you're wondering about upgrading the LED. Now, that might not be up to spec for the actual design, so user mileage may vary with that kind of upgrade. But that aside, this is the Signature Lite, and it's a very, very fun tool to pair up with any of the bigger tools, which we'll go over in a little bit. Next to it, we have the Victorinox Midnite Manager. So comparing that to the Signature Lite, it's a little bit thicker on the scale, so it has a little bit more tool options in it, and we're going to go over that. It's got the same pen here that you can write, ballpoint pen. It's got the same red LED, although the newer ones come with white LEDs now. Again, I like to have a little bit more of a red night vision type of LED where I can maintain night vision and also light discipline in some cases. And let's get into the tools on this one. So we have the usual pen blade here. And on this side, we have a newer tool. This is a combo tool. It's a 3D Phillips head screwdriver. We have a small wire bender here, and we have the bottle opener. So it's a 3-in-1 tool on the scale. And also with this particular type of tool, you can open it like this, and you can extend out your pen, and now you got a little bit more of a writing platform when you're signing things. So it's a little bit more comfortable to write like that. And on this side of the scale, we have our slotted screwdriver with the type of nail file here. And you can also use this for smaller Phillips heads as well, although that other screwdriver is much better. And we also have our high quality scissors. And once again, these scissors are almost second to none when it comes to multi-tool scissors. And that's pretty much it for the Midnite Manager. A very sleek and very practical multi-tool in case you want that combo tool inside your scales while maintaining some sort of slim profile for a smaller EDC kit or bag. Last but not least, we have the Victorinox Midnite Mini Champ, one of my favorite types of mini multi-tools or micro multi-tools. This one has a white LED on it and a different type of battery voltage that's required to drive it and a driver. We also have a pen in this side of the scale, and it's very similar to the Midnite Manager with the same feature set except from some extra tools on it, and we're going to go over that. So one of the extra tools we have is a nail cuticle. I use this for a scooping device and a very, very light duty pry bar. I don't want to break the tool inside of it, but that's what I use it for, and then for scraping off things without marring things potentially with a sharp edge. So I rather use these rounded edges for that. So it's a pretty handy little tool on here. Next up, we would go over the little mini ruler here, which doubles as the slotted screwdriver or a very, very small Phillips head screwdriver. A little bit different than the combination nail file tool that's been found in the previous two types of tools. Here we have a very used tool that I enjoy on this particular Midnite Mini Champ. I use this quite a lot for opening packages. It's the package opener / orange peeler tool. So it has a very sharp edge on the inside of this hook point here, and also on the bevel point, so you can open packages relatively easily. Then we have our secondary blade here. This is a sheep's foot type of blade, and it's a little bit thinner than the main blade on this one, which is good for precision cutting. It's also very sharp, so I like having a secondary blade within my multi-tool, which is kind of nice for this Midnite Mini Champ. And then finally we have the nail file here with a small poker bit. I suppose you might be able to use that as a makeshift awl, although it's not very sharp. It's probably more for just using as a nail file here. On this side, we have some similar tools that we've already gone over. The main pen blade here. And we have the 3-in-1 tool again, the 3D Phillips head screwdriver here, the wire bender, and the bottle opener. And then we have our scissors here. Typical high quality scissors with the spring there. And I have my custom little holder lanyard here on the back. So that is the Victorinox Midnite Mini Champ, and these three have the best scissors in my opinion out of the whole bunch on the table. The ones that do have scissors anyway. So what I like to do with these micro EDC tools, let me grab my other tool again. I typically like to combine a Victorinox tool with a Leatherman type of tool, because the Leatherman type of tool tends to be generally a superior type of plier head tool when it comes to multi-tools, in my experiences and anecdotal opinion. I have Gerber ones, I have non-Gerber ones, and I have Leatherman types of tools, all kinds of models. And I generally prefer Leatherman quality tools along with a small micro EDC tool. I typically like having a good pair of scissors, and for my needs, I like having a saw. Now, the Leatherman Wingman version of this has the scissors instead of the saw, so you can kind of just carry it all in one if you want. But for my needs, I do work outdoors, and I do use the saws on these smaller, medium-sized multi-tools, and also the scissors. So something like this would be a perfect combination of tools for me on my persons, because I have a backup writing device when I need to sign something or mark something, and I also have an immediate lighting source, which will allow me to see what I'm doing with my other tool potentially. So you could pair up the Mini Champ or even the Midnite Manager, or if you're on the budget, you can pair up the Signature Lite tool with a Leatherman type of tool, and you'll have most of your general bases covered. And these tools don't take up a whole lot of space. Yes, it's extra weight, but for the writing element redundancy and the lighting element redundancy, I think it's fairly worth it, at least in my experiences, to combine these kind of tools with the Leatherman. So we can do that kind of combining tools together. What we could also do is take a typical Victorinox knife, and this is a plier-less type of multi-tool. It just has my main blade and a backup pen blade on it, and this one also has a saw for my needs, so I use that. And this one has a pair of higher quality scissors than the smaller ones, which are very, very useful in my needs everyday carry. And not everybody needs a smaller light on here, but I do have one on here. And this also has, within the pen scale, the pen in here, and I bought some aftermarket ferro rods to go inside of this Huntsman Lite, because this is my main duty multi-tool for when I'm on the trails. And I have a pair of tweezers in here. So we also have some slotted screwdrivers in this one, as well as can openers and a 3D Phillips head screwdriver, and also a bottle opener with a bigger slotted screwdriver and a wire bender here. On the back, we do have a variety of tools, which is basically the corkscrew with a mini screwdriver for your glasses, a little pin that's inside the scale here, and we have a smaller slotted screwdriver as well, and we also have a hook here, and then we have the awl. So we can round out our complement of tools on the Victorinox, which has a variety of tools. Now, it's not locking, so that's something to consider compared to, say, the Sidekick here. But with that being said, you can grab any one of these smaller tools and complement this Huntsman Lite, for example. So now I have a pair of pliers. I don't have scissors in this, but I have the scissors covered in here. I don't have a saw in here, but I do have a saw in here covered. And I don't necessarily have the file, which this lacks, but is covered in the Squirt P4, and it's a decent file for its size. So what I'm getting at is that these tools, if you mix and match them right, you can integrate them in a synergistic way, which will cover your EDC needs. And that's what I've been trying to do with these variety of different tools. So that's all I have to say for today on these micro tools. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and I hope you enjoy your day and take care.